One of my favorite words in the New Testament occurs in the Easter story. It's when the women come to the tomb early in the morning. But the word is not early. The word is actually deep. They come in the depths of the morning. The word is batheos. And it's the same word that we use for our English word bathysphere. So it's like a high pressure submarine that goes to the deepest places on the planet in the ocean. And that depth is something that I think is always available to us, but we miss so often. I'm so interested in philosophers who are especially interested in that quality of depth in human life. One of them his name is Immanuel Kant, and he's an 18th century philosopher. He lived a large part of his life thinking in one way, and then later in life, he had what he called a Copernican revolution in his thought. And so he wrote these very important works after he'd had that experience. And the first two, one was called The Critique of Pure Reason, one was called The Critique of Practical Reason. And the Critique of Pure Reason is about the way that we don't experience the world exactly as it is in itself. We can only experience the world through our perceptions and through the structures of our consciousness that help us to make sense of it. Now, he meant this in a very technical way. We have categories of like time and space, and they are what help us to understand and perceive reality. But it's also true culturally. The stories that people tell us and the stories that we tell ourselves affect what it is that we notice and see. So if you're a gardener, you may be more attuned to the living world. If you're really interested in antique cars, you may notice things that other people might not notice when you're walking through downtown. But those are just shallow examples. We are able to experience the world based on what other people have taught us and how the possibilities that they've taught us about how we can experience it. The second thing he wrote about in the Critique of Practical Reason was about an idea that was really strong, had really a lot of following in the 18th century. It was Sir Isaac Newton's idea of physics. He felt like every single last thing could be designed and diagrammed. It was almost like our lives were balls on a pool table. So like kind of hitting the three ball into the corner pocket, that was what described human life. And people worried that there wasn't such thing as human freedom. And Kant believed that although we are just driven so much by our desires and wants, that there actually is a possibility for human beings to be genuinely altruistic, to actually be free in our actions. And that experience of the depth of our social life is another part of his observations that's so important. And as I said, we have a chance to experience the depth of existence anytime. On Monday, after preaching a sermon about whales the day before, I went to Ocean Beach and I saw a pod of whales in the water. And the majesty of these extraordinary animals moved me so deeply. And the other thing that was amazing about it was we had pretty much the best surf in Northern California that we've had in like the last 3 months. And I need to explain, first of all, that when waves break all at once, they're not very good for surfing. So having a wave break along a line is what makes surf good. And that depends on the bottom of the contour of the beach, the tide, the waves, the swell that's in the water, the energy that's in the water. It depends on the wind also. But on that day, the surf was so perfect. It was so easy to get in trim in the wave. That means, when you trim the sails, it means to get the best air and the wind in the sails. And when you get trimmed in surf, it means you're right in the pocket, right in the perfect place where you're going to get the best ride. And I remember just on one wave, just this enormous glassy wall, and you could write in it with your finger, almost like writing on an easel. And in that moment, I felt the full depths of the beauty of that situation, of the experience of being alive, of having a chance to be out of the world of conflict in human life and in the natural world where God can sometimes speak to us in ways that we can hear better. My name is Malcolm Clemens Young. I'm the Dean of Grace Cathedral in San Francisco, California. Thanks for watching More Good News.